What is good, everybody? Gamer Critic back with yet another Why I'm Buying. And for this Why I'm Buying, I'll be talking about a game that not only do I think many people are not excited for, I legitimately don't think people know that this game exists. And that's Still Wakes the Deep. Now, Still Wakes the Deep is a first-person horror game being developed by the Chinese Room, who are known for making Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. And it releases on June 18th, 2024 for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Now, I understand that the majority of normal folk are excited for Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. But what can I say? I love horror games, and Still Wakes the Deep looks like a very interesting one. So Still Wakes the Deep is set on an oil rig in the middle of the North Sea in 1975 during Christmas. You play as Kaz McClary, who finds himself stranded on the oil rig with a dwindling number of crewmates and a terrifying otherworldly creature. Now Kaz has to fight for survival from the mysterious monster while also dealing with the threats that come outside of the oil rig. So I'll just jump to the chase and say the biggest thing that has me excited with Still Wakes the Deep is its setting. A damaged, stranded oil rig is such a unique place to set a horror game. The developers make it clear that while the monster is scary, the oil rig itself is just as scary and just as dangerous. The oil rig may be massive, but it wasn't made with humans in mind. And just from what's being told to me, that's what makes it so terrifying. As you're avoiding a terrifying monster, you have to squeeze yourself through these tight spaces. And that's really gonna add to that sense of claustrophobia. You'll find yourself racing through cooling vents, wiggling through pipes, and even having to crawl underwater through small gaps of machinery, all while something could be potentially chasing you down. I don't know about you, but that sounds absolutely terrifying to me, and I love it. Another thing that makes the oil rig very interesting is that they design it to change over time. One of the concerns that the devs had with Still Wakes the Deep is that since the oil rig, a relatively small environment, and you'll find yourself going through the same locations over and over again, they had to think of a way to make these environments interesting. And they did by actually having the oil rig degrade and change over time. At the very start of the game, you could be walking through a metal hallway, and then maybe 2 hours later, you could find it completely underwater. It is great that despite the small environment, they are still going to find ways to keep the environments interesting, both inside and outside. You'll find moments where you have to make your way out to the oil rig's exterior. That trades the dark and claustrophobic metal for the wet and gray views of the North Sea. And the devs make it very, very clear that just like inside the oil rig, outside of the oil rig is going to be just as dangerous. I like that Still Wakes the Deep wanted to tap into that basic human fear of heights and do an excellent job of adding the visual and audio details to really make that happen. Given what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like walking over this rickety iron is gonna be extremely unnerving. From just walking across it to having to jump over these massive gaps that no logical person should ever do, it just seems like in terms of presentation and scare factor, Still Wakes the Deep is gonna be a non-stop thrill ride. So yes, the setting of this game I feel like is going to be my favorite part. Just the overall presentation of this game is going to be my favorite part. And best part is that this game is running on Unreal Engine 5, so it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. I'm really excited to see how this game looks because the trailers alone have looked beautiful. But it is still a game, and like any horror game, it sounds like they are going to add quality staples of some stealth missions, some chase sequences from a terrifying monster. There is no combat. You are not going to be able to defend yourself from this monster at all. The only way to escape is to evade the monster and solve the puzzles of the oil rig. That means going around, exploring, collecting items, and using those items to open new areas of the oil rig. And admittedly, we don't see too much of that in the trailer, but that just sounds like any other horror game. And assuming Still Wakes the Deep does it well, then it sounds like it's going to be a great way to add to the already extremely tense situation. What I really appreciate about Still Wakes the Deep, though, is that it really does seem like they are going to put effort into making this feel like a classic horror movie. They are putting a lot of effort into the story. making Kaz more than just a protagonist, but someone who's dealing with personal problems and having that be his main reasoning as to coming to the oil rig at all. The audio director of this game, Dan Hendricks, even said that their goal with this narrative is to have very deep, strong family themes, and I respect that. The game itself is taking inspiration from classic filmmakers like Kubrick, which I think if they manage to nail is going to give this game such an identity. But like I said, though I'm interested in the story and I appreciate the fact that gameplay, there's no combat, and it consists of just stealth and puzzles, which I greatly appreciate, the thing that just has me excited most is the oil rig. I'm excited to get lost in this world. I'm excited to experience those beautiful graphics, and I'm excited to see how this environment is gonna change. I'm also just excited to see what this monster is gonna look like. I want to know what this monster is, why it's here, how it got here. I'm just so excited to get lost in the world of Still Wakes the Deep. The oil rig that the Chinese room has managed to create, this absolutely gorgeous and detailed oil rig, is at the very least going to lead to a great environment. Now, let me also extend an olive branch. The Chinese room, though I am very excited for this game, also made my least favorite Amnesia game in the series, Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. So, in a way, I'm keeping my expectations tempered. But given what we know about this game, and particularly the very unique environment that it's offering, I do think at the very least Still Wakes the Deep will be interesting. And it's coming to Game Pass, so you don't got too much to lose. And that's why I'm buying Still Wakes the Deep. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next video is going to be my Stellar Blade review. I made up my mind. I decided in which order I'm going to review the games. It looks like the majority of you really want Stellar Blade, so I'll just review Stellar Blade and get that done. So you know how long my reviews take. They usually take a little time. I'm hoping to get this done in maybe the next 2-3 weeks, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. It helps a ton. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing, follow me on Instagram. That's @thegamercritic. Be good people, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, peace.